Live from Studio 1396, Columbus, Ohio, this is This is the Late Lap, and good evening, race fans, pit lane philosophers, and every poor soul still pretending Carb Day is pretending about carbs the food. Well, welcome to the Late Lap, the only motorsport show where the takes are quicker than a pit stop, the sarcasm is stickier than a burnout at Bristol, and the host is still emotionally recovering from Buddy Lazier's 1996 victory. Tonight, we are headed to the Brickyard. Practice has officially begun for the 109th running of the Indianapolis 500. And let me tell you, Team Penske showed up like they were offended anyone else brought a car. Will Power fastest, Josef Newgarden second, and the king lately, Paolo, tried to sneak in some Ganassi magic at third. But let's be honest, Penske came out of the gates like it's 1994 and Roger's still playing his guys in rocket fuel. And Helio Castroneves, sixth quickest. He's 50 years old and still beating kids whose first word was probably iPad. The man is aging backwards. Someone test him for Brazilian Benjamin Button syndrome. We'll break down the lap charts, the surprise movers, the rookies, and why Kyle Larson might be the only man alive prepping for two of the most brutal races on Earth with one race suit and a Red Bull. So get comfy, pour yourself a glass of whatever, I'm thinking E85, and buckle in, because Indy's heating up. The math is getting tight, and someone's about to qualify for heartbreak. This is Late Lap, and tonight, we practice greatness. Let's start tonight by talking numbers, horsepower lovers, because day one of Indy 500 practice wasn't just about getting the feel of the car. It was a data drop straight from the racing gods. We're talking 34 drivers, 1,549 laps, and enough speed to make a radar gun call its therapist. Will Power topped the session like we mentioned before. He's a man on a mission, laying down a lap of 227.026 mile an hour in 39.643 seconds. The only driver over 227 on the board. That wasn't just a quick time, that was a statement. He said, "I'm not done yet." It was his sixth lap out of 17 total, which tells you just how dialed in Team Penske is this year. Penske didn't stop there. Josef Newgarden, chasing history with a potential three-peat, was second fastest, 226.971 mile an hour, just 9 thousandths of a second back. That's shorter than the time it takes to blink, but still more time than an NHRA drag race. And third fastest, who else but the king, Alex Palou, the guy who's winning races like he's farming coins in Mario Kart. He clocked in at 226.673, notching his best lap a little later in the segment, lap 29 out of 51 total. I wouldn't really call that one testing. That's more of a refining for that guy. And with a little bit of a title lead, yeah, I can say he can play around on the ovals too. Rounding out the Power 5 were Scott Dixon of 225 mile an hour and just over 225 with Scotty Mack. And let's not forget the ageless wonder, Helio Castroneves, sixth quickest at 224.523 mile an hour, proving once again that when the helmet goes on, age clocks out. And, you know, the fastest Honda power driver, of course, was Palou. You know, with what he's done lately, I would say that we shouldn't be too surprised that he's up there. But at the same time, you know, you have to move forward and really think about when will that era end. Of course, there are some surprises at Indy. Kyle Larson back again. And, you know, Kyle Larson's had a lot of hardware, a lot of media attention. He did run for the Rookie of the Year last year, and he took that plane ticket over. But Look, I know we've spent the last year talking and hyping him up. It's the second coming now of SuperTex. But pump the brakes and talk about the real Kyle we should be talking about. Kyle freaking Busch. That's right. Rowdy, the candy-coated chaos merchant. The man who's conquered every square inch of asphalt from Daytona to Fontana, except the ones that happen to fall inside the borders of the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. He's got over 230 NASCAR National Series wins, 2 Cup titles, 5 Bristol Night Race wins, 7 Vegas wins, a clean sweep of every active NASCAR track not named Daytona or Indy, and of course a couple of one-offs in the recent years. And here's the kicker. The man's won in a stock car, a truck, a Supra, a lawn chair with a Craftsman engine, and more. But the Indianapolis 500's still sitting lonely on the Rowdy bucket list like it's the last golden corral he hasn't demolished. And he almost got it done, not once, but twice. Back in 2017, he had a full-blown deal with M&M's to go racing at Indy. Livery ready, car prepped, sponsor locked. Kyle motivated. But who blocked it like Dikembe Mutombo guarding a waffle iron was none other than Joe Gibbs. Here's my impression of Joe Gibbs. Kyle, we believe in focus. And also, please don't die in an open-wheel car before you drive our Camry again. Fair, reasonable, soul-crushing. Back to normal. So that deal gets shelved. Fast forward to 2024. Kyle Busch is now at Richard Childress Racing. He was that free agent, free spirit, free to chase the dream kind of driver. And wouldn't you know it, he found a sponsor. He had his foot in the door again, and Zak Brown at McLaren this time saying, sure, let's dance. But then Zak Brown did something that Zak Brown could only do. See, Kyle had a sponsor. Zak had a car, but Zak said, and I quote, I need you to buy the car. Kyle sharing this on the Actions Detrimental podcast hosted by Denny Hamlin. You can check that out on dirtymoradio.com. Zak told him, I need you to buy the car. Let me just think about that. McLaren, one of the most prestigious racing operations in the galaxy, looked at Kyle Busch and his sponsor. They looked him square in the eye holes, and he said, we need you to buy the Dallara in case Kyle wrecks it. Bro, if you're scared of Kyle Busch crashing your race car, you should see what he does to people's feelings in the Xfinity Series. The deal collapses. Kyle shrugs. And 2 weeks later, who swoops in on a 2-year deal like he just ran down pit road in a cape? Kyle Larson. And listen, I love Larson. He's a freak of nature behind the wheel, but he's not this story. Kyle Busch is a legacy waiting for one more chapter. His brother Kurt did get to attend the Daytona 500 and Indy 500 in the same year back in 2014, and he finished 7th in Indy. A top 10 and a one-off with the Andretti team, and an oval curve sleeper than a New Hampshire tax code. But Kyle, the younger brother, with twice the attitude and triple the trophies, he hasn't even had his chance. And he wants it. He wants it bad. He said to Denny Hamlin, it's still at the top of his list. He's talked to McLaren, he's talked to Penske, he's talked to the sponsors. He's practically holding a boombox outside the speedway, playing Back in Black, and still can't get past security. Let's not forget the last time this man tried something new, he jumped in an RCR Chevy and won on the 3rd start. This is a guy who admittedly struggles from time to time, and Lady Luck has not been in his corner. But he could also put a V6 lawnmower on the pole at Pocono. And for the record, don't give me that open wheel learning curve excuse. Busch ain't new to going fast with limited grip. This is a guy who's won on dirt, won in trucks, nearly won in Daytona, and once held off prime Carl Edwards using nothing but spite and a semi-deflated left rear. And now, he's sitting in the paddock, watching the other Kyle get the parade lap while IndyCar fans everywhere missing out on what could have been the Rowdy 500, or in Charlotte with success, the Rowdy 1100, a thunderous, tequila-fueled, wide-eyed assault on 230 mile an hour that would have had him turning 3, screaming for mercy. It would have been great. But I digress. Maybe it's not too late. Maybe one day Kyle Busch gets his shot. Maybe Penske clears the stable. Maybe Ganassi calls. Hell, maybe he just enters his own car with another energy drink and a bottle of nitrous. I don't know. But I do know this. The next time someone says, would Kyle Busch ever run the Indy 500? You tell him he should have. And the sport would have been better for it. Because while some guys dream about winning Indy, Kyle Busch dreams about beating Indy. And that's the kind of driver the Brickyard was built for. Next, we'll talk here about a little bit of drone action. It is time for us to fly. Now, you might be wondering, what the hell does that have to do with cars or with racing? You see, racers and creators, amateurs and apex chasers, if you've ever wanted to fly like you drive, DJI just made your dreams a reality. The Mavic 4 Pro is here, and let's just say this isn't just a drone. This is aerial domination with a carbon fiber sole. Forget bird's eye view. This thing outbirds the birds with a 100 megapixel Hasselblad main camera, dual telelens, and a 360 infinity gimbal. And the kind of cinematic potential that would make Christopher Nolan weep into his storyboard. The Mavic 4 Pro is here to revolutionize how we film racing, chase cars, and capture velocity. For racers, track day junkies, and speed dreamers, imagine this. You're at the local track day. Your buddy just bolted on fresh rubber and he says he's finally going to break into the 137s. You pull out the Mavic 4 Pro, lock in the active track 360-degree feature, and that drone follows that car through every apex, every braking zone, every sideways moment in turn 5, and all while recording in 6K HDR at 60 frames a second. Do I have you? Have I sold you? It's not a video. That's a highlight reel material. That's not a hobby. That's racing cinematography. And with subject focusing and long-range telephoto stabilization, you can shoot corner exits like Le Mans, even if you're filming a Miata in Columbus on a Sunday. The numbers that do matter: top speed 90 kilometers an hour, or Kyle Busch doing recon laps in a golf cart. And for your flight time, 51 minutes, which is frankly more endurance than most drivers at their autocross. The zoom lenses are 70mm and 168mm. Imagine filming pit stops from a quarter mile away like you're conducting drone surveillance for Mission Motorsports. And the dynamic range up to 18 stops with the Hasselblad. The result: sunlight, shadows, fog, glare, it handles it all. You could film a sunset lap around mid-Ohio and still have detail in the tire smoke and the clouds. And your transmission and safety, of course, there are rules. With Q4 transmission, you get 30 kilometers of 10-bit HDR image range. That's 18.6 miles, longer than an entire NHRA pass and cooldown and their season. Plus, you're looking at omnidirectional obstacle avoidance that still works in low light. Translation: when you're skimming past trees at golden hour or following a drifting Civic down a canyon road, the Mavic 4 Pro has your 6. For professional teams, a game changer. Race teams, listen up. You now have the ability to film practice from above and analyze flow. Create sponsor footage that rivals network broadcasts. Capture multi-angle content in one battery cycle. Let your social media team cut clips like actually going viral. And want to film your paddock with vertical 360-degree rotating Dutch angles? This drone is doing things that no Jumbotron ever dreamt of. And that's why we talk about a little mobile aircraft tonight, because it's bitchin', and it would really take good care of you and your local race team, your local racetrack. And you might say, but what about the regulations? Yes, drone laws are real. The FAA licensing, no-fly zones, track restrictions, it's all bullshit. But with proper certification and responsible flight plans, the Mavic 4 Pro becomes a weapon-grade storytelling tool. It's like having a boom rig, gimbal crew, and cinematographer all in your back pocket. Whether you're a YouTuber filming grid walkarounds, a driver reviewing telemetry with aerial footage, or a motorsport media member trying to shoot like Fox, this is your rig. And when I say Fox, I mean Fox that takes good care of their NASCAR, NHRA, and IndyCar clients, not where they pick and choose which sport that they like and which ones they don't. And it's built like a pit crew, smart, efficient, and ready. 512 internal storage, that's hours of raw footage. Parallel battery charging, you're back in the air faster than most race cars get refueled. RC Pro 2 controller with HDMI built into the mic. You're basically broadcasting even quicker over Wi-Fi is really, really fast. It makes send it to the cloud sound like Morse code. This is not just a drone. The DJI Mavic 4 Pro is a mobile media command center that puts Hollywood-level tools in the hands of racers, creators, and the weekend warriors. It respects the rules, rewards the license, and elevates the stories of speed like never before. It's not a question of if this changes how we shoot racing. The only question now is who gets in the air first. Woo! That sure was a mouthful, but it is something that's really important to talk about because when we talk about filming, everybody's got a camera guy. I've been the camera guy. I didn't go to school to take pictures of race cars. I went to school to write and do some other things. Everybody's a photographer. You're not a photographer. You're not. But with tools like the DJI, you probably are. Next topic, let's move along here. Oh man, Valvoline. You can't go wrong with a little bit of Valvoline. We talked a little bit about them last night and how great their new G7 blend was. But tonight, we're going to talk about their finances. So, Valvoline, let's give you a round of applause and maybe a 10W30 salute to a company that's keeping engines running, racetracks buzzing, and customers loyal for well over 150 years. That's right, we're talking about Valvoline, not just a brand, but a benchmark in the automotive world. Heritage that holds horsepower. Founded in 1866, Valvoline isn't just one of America's oldest motor oil companies. It's a living legend. They were there when the first cars rolled off the line, when racing legends roared into dirt tracks. And they're still here today, innovating, expanding, and outperforming all of the expectations we have. They were the first to create an all-climate oil. They were under the hood when race cars broke records and when families just needed to get to work on time. Whether it's high-octane performance or daily dependability, Valvoline's been the brand you trust. Leadership that's driving the future, and under smart, forward-looking leadership, Valvoline isn't just resting on a well-oiled past. They're accelerating into the future with clarity and momentum. And this is where the money comes in. The Q2 2025 earnings call proved it. System-wide sales jumped 11%. That is $826 million. Growth in stores up a healthy 5.8%, showing strong retail heartbeat. And a customer satisfaction 4.7 stars out of 5 from over 1 million third-party surveys. That's not customer loyalty, that is customer love, and they love their customers. Their cloud-first, data-smart marketing upgrades aren't just modern, they're efficient, personalized, and scalable, giving them an edge in an industry that demands agility. Whether you're a do-it-yourselfer, garage warrior, a weekend auto crossover, a professional race team, or a nobody, Valvoline delivers for you. Their advanced motor oils protect under extreme heat, high RPMs, and turbocharged pressure. Their high-mileage formulas extend the life of older engines. And again, their GF7 standard blend already exceeds tomorrow's industry benchmarks. It's no surprise that their products are the lifeblood of powertrains from coast to coast. Sure, there was a margin pressure this quarter, but let's be honest, every engine still needs a tune-up now and then. Valvoline's growth is deliberate, adding 68 new stores year to date, and announcing that the 200-store Breeze Auto Care acquisition. That's not just expansion, that's confidence. Verdict? The engine is not cooling down. While markets may nitpick over margins and tariffs, let's not forget the big picture. Valvoline is firing on all cylinders. Well, we have other stories today, and they're big one. Attention in the pits! Attention in the pits! If you've ever been to a drag race, there's a good chance that you've heard that from the man himself. It didn't take long, it didn't last long. Alan Reinhart, the unmistakable voice of drag racing, the guy who's called more nitro launches than most people have ever called Ubers, was named Vice President of Racing Operations at IHRA back in January. A big title, a big move, a big announcement, and now he's open to work. On LinkedIn, he says. That's right. Just months after being hailed as a cornerstone of IHRA's bold new direction, Reinhardt is back on the market holding up a digital cardboard sign that reads, "Will announce for food," or Tucson. Look, people love Alan. The man has pipes. He has a great voice that could call thunder down from the sky. And he's kind of been the soundtrack of the NHRA for decades, narrating everything from national championships to Tuesday night testing tunes from the same intensity you'd give to a rocket launch. If Morgan Freeman voices God, Alan Reinhardt voiced God's burnout. I'll give him that. So when he bolted to the IHRA, a series that's been trying to rebrand itself more than failing burger joint or the Chinese food place down the road, it raises some eyebrows, but we gave it a chance. Hey, maybe they're finally getting serious over there. After all, you don't bring in Alan Reinhardt unless you're ready to sound like a legitimate motorsport at least. And yet, here we are. Farewell tour with pit notes and a pit pass. Just proof. He's out, and the IHRA quiet as a stock Civic on a Sunday night. This is either the fastest mutual ghosting in racing history, or IHRA's internal structure has the organizational stability of a folding table in a hurricane. Maybe the ship is already sinking. And Alan was just the guy they handed a trumpet and told, "Play something loud so nobody hears the leaks." But in all fairness, I can't be too hard on Alan. He took a swing, a leap, he traded one circus tent for another, and he certainly hoped to be more of a ringmaster than the sideshow this time around. But for the guy who spent 30 years traveling the country with a microphone and a rule book, Vice President of Racing Operations probably sounded like the next natural step. Too bad that bad step ended up being a red light. Woo! Alan Reinhardt out at IHRA. Oh man, Gemini. If you're a smartphone person, Gemini Google interiors. They're going to be in your car. And look, I like tech. I'm not afraid of a little digital evolution, but Gemini AI coming to Android Auto in your dashboard? I mean, seriously, what the actual hell are we doing? We've officially reached the point where your car is more emotionally available than your ex. You'll be able to say things like, text him, ask him where we're eating. Call Sally, see if the parking spot's still there. And play that one sad song from 1996. And I know we have CarPlay, we have Google Play, and Gemini will now act like your therapist, though. It's getting a bit much. It's a rolling privacy breach disguised as convenience. A talking robot that remembers your preferences, your habits, your Gmail, your playlist, your contacts, your preferred fucking burrito order, and oh yeah, which language to text Carlos in. Do we really want a car that remembers our last flight with our spouse and suggests restaurants based on emotional tension? It's out of control. We have great features in our cars. This is not one of them. Google's Gemini is a problem, and so is the AI movement in many ways. It looks like you're still mad about last weekend, Gemini would say. Would you like me to find a quiet sushi bar where you can soak in peace? Actually, that might be good for Alan. And I get it. On paper, this sounds cool. But you know what's cooler? Buttons, knobs, basic voice commands that don't require a data center in Oregon to figure out what I want or if my seat is heated enough. God forbid you just push a button and the seat does its thing. Now we have to ask permission from an AI with a name that sounds like a failed crypto startup. And don't get me even started on the infinite conversation. God knows I talk plenty. You're not casually chatting with your car. You're uploading your entire identity to a cloud so that you can tell you where the nearest Taco Bell is. And this thing isn't even running on your vehicle. It's pinging off of a Google server somewhere mid-drive. If your signal drops, does Gemini just ghost you? Sorry, I can't answer that. You're in a tunnel. Well, great. Now I'm cold and directionless. Thanks, Gemini. I'm really frustrated with this one. Okay, if you're not a techie, you're going to think, well, no big deal. This is the same, as Apple CarPlay and Google CarPlay. This is different. There were reports out of the UK and EU a couple of years back, and we talked about how everything would become subscription-based. Everything with your car. You want leather heated seats, you hit a button? Nope, not until you pay. That's part of it. The other part is the identity crisis. We're giving all of our data away, and we're just letting it happen, and frankly, it's frustrating. Our cars are great. We celebrate all of the great tech, the safety features. I love talking about what's new. This was a bad one, and I'm not very proud of Google or anything else that's associated with that one. So for Jim and I, not a fan. We're nearly here at the end. I do want to talk about one other thing. I'm going to get away from a little bit of the ranting. One more thing tonight was we talk about on this show things that come back. A lot of times things leave. A lot of times they're gone. Eras, traditions, people, stories. Well, today something really cool is coming. Something cool is coming back. And I'm so excited to talk about it. It's not a sport I talk about often, and I recognize that many of you also may not follow it. But ladies and gentlemen, gearheads of all kinds, grab your sunscreen, your lawn chair, and a plate of spicy chicken from Popeyes, because Powerboat racing is coming back to Lake Pontchartrain. And it's louder, faster, and more unapologetically American than ever. After a 20-year hiatus, the offshore beasts are back. That's right, the lakefront that used to echo the thunder of 2,000 horsepower catamarans is about to turn up the volume again, thanks to Powerboat P1 and the kind of local enthusiasm you can only find where fried chicken, watercraft, and V8 rumble intersect. This is just a race. This is not just a race. This is a comeback tour with rooster tails. I'm talking about a sport that once turned a lake into a nautical Talladega. And now it's back like it's never left. The Offshore Grand Prix is docking in Metairie this June, and if you've never seen a 200-mile-an-hour fiberglass missile skip across the water while fans sip beer and cheer like it's a Super Bowl, well, welcome to the good life. And the winner, they're going to get $350,000, all cash. You can't beat it. I had to talk about it, and I just think it's great. If you've never seen a boat race, go do it. Folks, this is a fun one because we're going to ruffle some feathers, and I don't care. Because sometimes people aren't always nice. People are really rude people. And sometimes things just make me laugh. I do wish everybody well. And I want to say something that I say at the end of every great show. Be kind to yourself. Be kind to others. Smile. Be happy. And until then, take care. And to our friends in the South, sea amable consigo mismo. Sea amable con otros. Sonría. Sea feliz. Hasta entonces. Cuídese. We'll see you tomorrow night. Take care.